The Justin Robert Young program is brought to you, as always, by the support of patreon.com/JuRY. We have had unprecedented support, and we are closing in on the last goal that we had ever, well, the second to last goal that we have ever set on this Patreon. It has been humbling. It has been amazing. If you would like all the extra content that we are now giving out to any patron, including the 3-hour Friday hype train, including the extra politics episodes on Monday and Friday, well, then you have to go to patreon.com/JuRY and stickers or DIAF starting right now. Every order on stickers or DIAF for the next week will be double stickers while supplies last. We're clearing out the old models because we got new stickers coming in for the summer. So if you like our meme pack, now's the time to act. We didn't want that to rhyme. The deals are just that good. Stickers or DIAF.com. But enough of talking about how we do the show. Let's bring on Justin Robert Young.
On the day that we met on the internet, I asked her for a photograph. She sent it over to me, said, I know it's ugly. And I said, girl, ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine, 'cause you're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the JuRY program. Ball of nerves, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I am. They call me old ball of nerves, gerbs. Got a lot going on. Very busy week coming up. We are shooting the video for the new Kickstarter, Action News, launching on June 30th. That is on Saturday. And we got a lot to do until then. We're only a couple days away from the launch of the Kickstarter itself. That is quickly approaching. I've had a lot of anxiety lately. A lot of crushing anxiety. I had a moment on Sunday where I was like, I just had the term disintegration in my brain. I don't know why. I just kept saying disintegration. Like I was just with a strong wind, just disintegrate into a million different particles and be swept out through the atmosphere into the cosmic wasteland. That is what my mood is frequently. Now, that's not going to affect this show because we got a great show. But I just want to let you know that's where I'm at. There's a lot going on, and we're going to do a show that this is all I'm going to talk about with the personal stuff. Sometimes the show's very personal. That's it. We're done with the personal stuff. Let's go ahead and get into all the stories because we got a bunch of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we got we got a story in my old hometown of Broward County, right outside of Hollywood, Florida. We got a hilariously crappy trend piece that I wanted to make fun of. We got some Harvard kids who got their offers rescinded because the memes, they were too spicy, the memes. We're going to find out whether the Cash Me Outside girl can succeed where Charlie Sheen previously failed. But before, I want to bring you guys behind the curtain. Of course, you can watch live this show and everything else that I do at twitch.tv/Justin R. Young. And sometimes you get some extra content, some bonus content. And one of those things was we were talking about the James Comey testimony, which we will cover on Politics tomorrow. And we might do a special live stream for it on Thursday. But I was joking about whether or not I should open Politics with my own version of Hank Williams Jr., Are You Ready for Some Football? And so I had to look up the song and the accompanying video, Are You Ready for Some Football? Now, I don't know how much of this I should play because it's probably going to get the YouTube video banned. But I can play it silently here in the background. It's awesomely 90s. It's, somebody figured out how to do some visual effects and they just went hog wild. Essentially, the theme is that Hank Williams Jr. is giving a gigantic concert welcoming everybody to Monday Night Football. The entire video is military themed. In fact, he says up front that special forces are out. And so a large portion of the video is military aircraft flying around and shooting landmarks with laser beams so they become more football friendly. So one of them, here we go. They're flying through New York. They shoot the Statue of Liberty. Boom. Now all of a sudden, it's not just the Statue of Liberty holding up a torch. The Statue of Liberty is now ecstatic and holding up a touchdown, 2 arms up, as if she were a referee in an American football match, signaling 7 points or 6 points for a touchdown, right? And that's all harmless enough, yada, yada, yada. But there's a point that football fans will remember, because it's always, no matter what happens in Are You Ready for Some Football, there's a mention of who the anchors are, who your commentators are, which is great because they're the most hilariously dumb things to shoehorn into a song. In fact, I always love these either retreads of popular country songs or original songs that they do for sporting events, just because the rhymes are always dog shit, right? They're just always like, there's football here, and we're ready to cheer, and there's gonna be some dip and some beer. There is football, and we're gonna play, and we're gonna watch every single day. It's always so slow, and the rhymes are about as complex as you would imagine a 3-year-old coming up with. But they always jam it in. They're like, it's Frank and Alan and Dan. They're going to get things started. He never rhymes it, right? But here's that point of the video. It's at 2:16. I'll have this YouTube link in the show notes on the Patreon. But it's Hank Williams Jr., Are You Ready for Some Football? Rare Country Videos is the YouTube account that has it. So it shows, Frank, Allen, and Dan, they're going to get things started. Hank Williams Jr. back on the set, right? Here's what I found odd, right? So they go from, just close-up shots of all the commentators. Here's Hank Williams Jr. And then the F-16s come swooping in to none other than Mount Rushmore, right? Shoot lasers into the faces of the four most consequential presidents in American history, only revealing after the rock has fallen. Because that's the other thing, is that it's not like in the Statue of Liberty, they defaced it permanently. It's a magic laser beam that then made her do the touchdown thing. Here, they are literally defacing, for as much as anybody knows, permanently, one of the greatest, most visible American landmarks that is specifically an homage to the founding fathers of the United States of America. Because what you see are tumbling rocks. Bah! Rocks are tumbling down. And what? So again, the Mount Rushmore, 4 faces, right? The lightning comes and strikes. Now it's 3 faces, and it's Frank, Al, and Dan, the commentators, your hosts and commentators for the evening. As John Saunders is just very excited about it. So they destroy one of the... It looks like Jefferson. Jefferson's face gets totally destroyed. So we can now memorialize what is truly worth remembering in this country. Monday Night Football. I said, get ready. All right. I wanted to share that with everybody because I thought it was intensely funny. Let's get into some of the big stories of the week, and by big stories, I mean big to me. This one hits close to home, as reported by the Miami Herald out there in South Florida. David O'Vale, he writes, he didn't give police his iPhone passcode, so he got 180 days in jail. This was sent in by a listener. Thank you so much. I don't have your name here, but I apologize for that. We read the opening lead. A Hollywood man must serve 180 days in jail for refusing to give up his iPhone password to police, a Broward judge ruled Tuesday. The latest salvo in intensifying legal battles over law enforcement access to smartphones. Christopher Wheeler, 41, was immediately taken into custody in Broward Circuit Court, insisting that he had already provided the passcode to police investigating him for child abuse, although that number did not work. I swear under oath I've given them the password, a distraught Wheeler, his hands handcuffed behind his back, told Circuit Judge Michael Rothschild, who found earlier that the man was guilty of contempt of court. Wheeler was jailed Tuesday. The same issue was unfolding in Miami-Dade for a man accused of extorting a social media celebrity over stolen sex tapes. The man, Wesley Victor, and his girlfriend have been ordered by a judge to produce a passcode to phones suspected of containing text messages showing their collusion in the extortion plot. Victor claimed he didn't remember the number. He prevailed. On Tuesday, Miami District Court Judge Charles Johnson ruled that there was no way to prove that Victor actually remembered his passcode more than 10 months after his initial arrest. Johnson declined to hold the man in contempt of court. The man's lawyer said the judge made the right call. Apparently, this is actually the story. Jesus. Hensha Voigt has been ordered to give police her passcode. She is accused of extorting social media celebrity Yes Jules. That's it. Victor and his girlfriend, reality TV star Hensha Voigt, are accused of threatening to release sex videos stolen from Miami social media celebrity Yes Jules in exchange for $18,000. Voigt is also facing a contempt of court charge that she provided her passcode, but it didn't work. She'll appear in court next week to explain why. I need some lawyers. I need some lawyers to email in. So let's, for a second, not focus on the crimes. Let's focus on whether or not these people that are under investigation by the police should have the right to get into your phone. Because that, to me, is probably the more relevant question going forward. Whether these people are guilty or whether or not, they are child abusers or extortion artists, let's leave that up in the air for right now, right? But in my mind, I should have the right to lock my digital house however I want. And if I have some dirt in my digital house, my digital property, it should not be incumbent on me to give you access to it, in my opinion. Now, if you have a way to get into it, well, then I don't really have much of a choice. Now, do I? If you offer me a deal in exchange for it, that my life can be easier, should I make their lives easier, well, I'm for that too, sure. But to me, the idea that you should always be compelled to give your passcode is a dangerous precedent. And it's rooted in the idea that people believe that technology is impermanent, that technology is a fad, that technology is just this new thing the kids are using. Well, guess what, Farmer Jim? It ain't. It's exactly how we're going to build the next millennia of society, is on the back of these technological marvels. So, in the same way that it's viewed as totalitarian and authoritarian, if I do not have at least due process of my own property, you need a warrant to come on to my property. You need a warrant to seize things off my property. You should need at the very least that to have on my digital property. And in the same way that they've got battering rams and those weird, like the tanks with like the battering ram on it, right? Much as they have that to get through physical locks, if you want to find ways to crack my phone, find ways to crack my phone without deleting it and, so you can get all the data. Kylie D. Tiger says, if you've got nothing to hide, well, that's... People always say that that's a bad argument. I'm going to say that's a good argument. So how about this? It works both ways. If the police have nothing to hide, then how about they jump through a few hoops to get into what I don't want them to see? How about that? How about they have to prove why they want to do any of this? I think that's fair. Or you can, as the Buck says in our chat, plead the fifth. There are so many amendments in the Constitution, I can only choose one. I plead the fifth. Meanwhile, who is this Yes Jules? This seems like something that we should be talking about. This is the trial of the century. Here we go. Yes Jules on Instagram. Yeah, I guess she's just a Miami Instagram model, huh? Got a buzz cut. She's posting stuff. Sexy photos. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead. Check it out. Instagram.com/YesJules. She is from South Florida, so therefore I like her more. Let's move on, shall we? All my rowdy friends are here for Monday night. One of the things that you guys know that I love to talk about. It is among my favorite things to talk about. Crappy trend stories. Oh, I love them. I love them. Love them, love them, love them, love them, love them. Because they're always so crappy. They're always just the crappiest. You guys know my complaints, but I will restate them for anybody who is new. I hate trend stories because they are oftentimes misleading. And ultimately, they should not be called trend stories. They should be called I found 3 people stories. Because here's the anatomy of a trend story. Find 3 people that are doing the same thing. Ask them why they're doing that thing. Draw tremendous, oftentimes irresponsible conclusions as to why that thing is happening. And then find some random person who you can ask about it. And then they can either agree or disagree on whether or not your premise is correct. Kylie D. Tiger says they shouldn't be called trend stories. They should be called clickbait. Believe it or not, trend stories have been dog shit since before the internet dawned, right? These things have always been mocked roundly in journalism circles. New York Times trend stories specifically. This one is from the Wall Street Journal. And I don't want to be mean here. So, a lot of times you just got to write stuff, right? You just got to get stuff in. Editor gives you, hey, I hear that this thing's cool. Go write about it. So you do. I'm not criticizing the writer here. I'm just criticizing the medium. Ninja Steve, I hate this is how Twitter is reacting stories. That is the lowest form of trend story. In fact, it's the version of that I hate the worst, that I loathe, is I found a racist on Twitter stories. Look at all these racist people on Twitter stories are the laziest. Oh, God, I hate them. Because not only are you doing something incredibly lazy and doing nothing but bringing confusion and anger to a topic that may or may not have deserved it, but you're also pointing yourself out as racist cop. Patrolling Twitter, finding out if you said something racist. It's racist cop. So here we go. This is the story I want to make fun of. Why old-timey jobs are hot again. Millennials. Ooh. I love the browser extension that just swaps the word millennial for kids these days. Millennials are driving a resurgence of age-old crafts, choosing to become bartenders, butchers, and barbers, in part as a reaction to the digital age. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. So we hit all the trend. We hit all the trend story touchstones here, okay? We hit all of them. We have I met 3 people. They even name the 3 people that they met. Bartenders, butchers, and barbers. And we have an irresponsible assumption as to why this is happening as a reaction to the digital age. Here we go. Let's read. Lauren Weber is the writer here. Gentrification isn't just taking place in working class neighborhoods. It's happening to jobs, too. Walk around parts of Brooklyn, Portland, and Pittsburgh, and you'll find stylish cocktail bars, barbers, and an occasional butcher shop staffed by young, college-educated employees. For an affluent segment of today's urban economy, these jobs have been revalued from low-status, semi-manual labor to glamorous occupations, says sociologist Richard Ohego. Oh, we hit, trend piece bingo! Trend piece bingo! Also, full disclosure, I found this story and I didn't read it because I wanted to be surprised by it. We got right to the expert. And he's the best kind of expert, a sociologist. I'm not trying to devalue the importance of sociologists. I'm just saying all the kids I knew who got too high in college eventually switched their majors to sociology. Oh, God, it gets even worse. Next paragraph. In his new book, Masters of Craft, Old Jobs in the New Urban Economy, Mr. Ohego examines the forces behind a resurgence in an occupation such as butcher and bartender among young middle-class urbanites. A similar dynamic is at work with a handful of other jobs, including craft brewer, bookbinder, furniture maker, and fishmonger. So we're just plugging this dude's book. What? What in the hot hell is happening here? Like, oh, God. This is terrible. This is awful. The Labor Department projects that between 2014 and 2024, the number of bartenders and barbers in the U.S. will grow 10%, while butchers will see a 5% increase compared. Blah, 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 blah. Millennials are drawn to these occupations in part as a reaction to the ephemerality of the digital age. It's a sociology professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and City University at the New York Graduate Center. So we are right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have not talked to a single one of these people. We have not. We haven't. We don't even have the 3 friends. We don't even have the I have 3 friends. What? Distinct from today's most vaunted jobs in fields like information technology and financial services, these trades are based in using your hands with actual tools and materials to provide a tangible, concrete product. What the fuck? A trendy whole animal butcher isn't pushing out the local butcher shop, he says, since it's likely closed a long time ago when the Italians moved out. What the fuck is this? This guy. This Mr. Ohego. A trendy whole animal butcher isn't pushing the local butcher shop, he says, since it likely, quote, closed a long time when the Italians moved out. What? That's I mean, like, all I'm going to say is that quote would be a lot more offensive if they were talking about the barbers. Just saying. They've created a niche that didn't exist before. And they're operating along parallel but very separate paths with pre-existing businesses, Mr. Ohego says. This is a one-source story. I honestly thought that this was going to be an actual trend story. It is the most popular article right now in Wall Street Journal. Let's just take a look at the comments here. Oh, it's just people talking about millennials. Okay, whatever. This is hilariously wrong. Okay, listen, I don't want to go off on a rant here. First things first. You literally just rewrote the dude's press release for his book. That's offensive. That's terrible journalism. I wanted to say before I didn't want to make fun of the writer. The writer needs to at least. Here's why I picked this story, okay? I picked this story because I was going to make fun of the fact that the writer, Lauren Weber, is the smartest person in the room, okay? Here's why Lauren Weber is the smartest person in the room. Because she could have gone out on an expense report, picked up a nice little side of pork ribs, gotten a haircut, and talked with a bartender at a craft cocktail place and had a ball. That's a nice little afternoon. I was going to make fun of her because she would do what I would like to do with my afternoon this afternoon, but get paid for it. I was going to hail the writer of this if it was the normal trend story. But this isn't even that. It's a rewritten press release for some idiot sociology professor and his dumb theory. By the way, I also think it's wrong. You want to know why? Here's why. I don't know about the butcher shops. But even you can make my argument for that as well. But specifically for, butcher shops, lump them in as well. You want to know why all these businesses are flourishing in hipster neighborhoods? Because they're high margin products. Haircuts always cost far more than it takes to do it. You just get shears, spend your time, you got all the other equipment, but that's fixed cost, right? You still got to get the clippers, you still got to get the spray, you still got to get X amount of pomade, and you can sell people stuff out the door based on how much they like their hair when they walk out. You go to a barber because you want a work of art on your head if you live in a hip area. But in these areas, if you theme your barbershop like the one that I go to, which is themed like an old-timey barbershop from like the 20s or the 30s, they give you a beer on the way in, and they have old-timey signs of how much haircuts used to cost, which I get thematically makes your place look like more authentic and stuff. But for me, it's like, oh, Jesus, I'm paying how much for this? High margin. Bars. You can make more if every drink that somebody buys is $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11 than if they just come in and get a bucket of Bud Lights for $5 on special. That's why craft cocktail bars are so popular. Not necessarily because these kids just want to work with their hands, because these are thriving businesses in a world where a retail physical economy for almost everything has fallen apart, except for the things that you need people for. Perishable items like barbershops, nights on the town, haircuts. This isn't a reaction to a digital age, because I'll guarantee you, all of these places, these barbershops, these craft cocktail bars, they all got Instagram. I bet you all the people that work there got Instagram. They're like, yes, Jules. They're out there trying to build their own brand. They don't see these things in conflict. Sure, they want to work in a certain industry instead of sitting at a desk. But when has that changed? Right? Either you want to work in a cubicle because you feel like that's the place that maximizes your talents, or you find that abhorrent and can't imagine it, and so you go work somewhere else. Are these more glamorous than they used to be? Sure. And that's an interesting idea. The return to prominence of the bartender, the butcher, and the barber. The idea that you could actually look at various famous people who do it. In fact, ditch this stupid bullshit reaction to a digital age angle and say they are now becoming, on the backs of a digital social media age, professions that people aspire to. There are celebrities in these fields. that tourism has sprouted up around their artisan crafts. Because I know that's what it is for me. When I go to Portland, what do you think I look for? Well, probably just the bar. I don't necessarily need a gigantic ham hock and a haircut. But sometimes a haircut. This is why I fishmonger. Fish need mongering, says Max Trollbot. When does the candlestick maker reappear? I mean, we're not far away from cobblers, right? You know, if you opened a shoe store and offered free cobbling, sure, why not? Oh, God. I was not expecting that to be as dog poop as it was. And yet there it was, as dog poop as possible. How about we look at a little bit more of a reaction to our digital age? This is a story from thetab.com. These are the memes that caused Harvard to rescind offers to 10 incoming freshmen. 10 incoming Harvard freshmen, writes Caroline Nahar, had their places rescinded by the university for sharing stomach-churning memes. These memes were posted in a Facebook group message called Harvard Memes for Horny Bourgeoisie Teens and General Fuck-Ups. The story was first reported by the Harvard Crimson. Jessica Zhang, who is about to join Harvard's class of 2021, left the group after seeing what was being posted in it. She told the Tab some of the people replied with LOL, a fire emoji, or OMG, and found them either funny or shocking. More and more people began leaving the chat when they saw those memes. The Tab was sent images from the thread by incoming freshmen. The memes, which include jokes about the Holocaust, pedophilia, suicide, racism, school shootings, and bestiality, were among those linked to the rescinding. Be warned! They are highly offensive. We have chosen to publish them to give full context to the administration's decision to rescind the student's offer. Oh, that's why you did it. Okay. Do you guys want to see these memes? I can show these memes just to give you guys a sense of it. Here we go. Again, this is in a group called Harvard Memes for Horny Bourgeoisie Teens. It's an Orthodox picture of an Orthodox Jewish gentleman. It says, "Why don't Jews eat pussy? Because it's too close to the gas chamber." Then it looks like there's another one that's just... All right, so one of these is a Facebook group. And then another one is, I guess, a group chat. And so these are offensive memes. That's one. Here's one that looks like Pikachu has a boner. It says, when you're trying to sleep but your neighbor's beating his kids. It's pretty fucked up. Here's a really fucked up one when the Mexican kid hangs himself in the school bathroom and just has a big poster that says "Piñata time" with the guy from Walking Dead that beat up the people with the baseball bat. When you go to a funeral but you don't get a boner, here's a cartoon character reading a book, Am I Disabled? And here's one. I didn't even know kids these days made Columbine jokes. Hey, Dylan, why is your backpack so heavy? Is it filled with books? This is Dylan Klebold of Columbine. In the next frame, he is wearing Deal With It glasses. He says, no, magazines. All right. Ninja Steve says, I don't think anyone will disagree with them getting disinvited from Harvard. Harvard is an institution that can determine who gets in and who doesn't. It's their call. If they got a lot of pressure for it, then yeah, rescind their offers. I do not think that Harvard was wrong to do it. I do, however, find myself pitying the kids. I pity them. I pity the kids that had their offers rescinded. I have empathy for those kids. Fritz X007. Time to dust off those state school apps. Hope he didn't say no to Brown yet. Somebody will take these kids, Ninja Steve. I'm sure they got into other schools. You know, I don't think Harvard was their safety. This is a sign of our changing times. That this is recognized, that this brings public shame on people, and it is fundamentally a different internet than I grew up with. Not one that I know now, but one that I grew up with. Because I'm intensely self-centered, as soon as I read this, I transform myself back to the closest facsimile of how I imagine I felt at this point in their lives. The summer between high school and college. Now, granted, I did not get into Harvard. But I remember my senior year of high school and the end of junior year prior to that being among the most stressful times in my life. As everybody else got into their favorite schools, all of a sudden, one by one, all the kids would show up in their school colors of the schools they were going to in the fall. And I would just panic and panic and panic. Are my SAT scores good enough? Should I do that? Should I take the ACTs? Was my essay good enough? Do I need better recommendations? Panic, 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 panic. So I remember being in a very vulnerable place. And then the exhalation of all that stress. I mean, I can't remember specifically what I was doing around then. I did smoke weed for the first time around then. But it was a huge life-changing moment for me. It was a lot of wound tight, then unwinding. Now, back in my day, we didn't exactly have the memes as dank as they do for the kids these days. But in moments that I would think are private, did I hear, riff on, or make myself a school shooting joke? I mean, this is closer to around when Columbine actually happened. Did I make a trench coat mafia one-liner? Yeah, probably. I mean, I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but pretty sure I probably did. And here's where it's different. The internet back then was just for internet people. Internet things, society could pour into the internet, but it was kind of a closed pool. Anybody who's old will understand this. And it's not to say that things were nicer, because you could certainly find places where things were about as gross and grody as possible. It's just that it didn't affect the real world. There was a cognitive dissonance. I can be somebody else on the internet than I am in the real world. And some of that still continues. But the lines are blurring. If I got connected with a bunch of people that I had never met before in a Facebook group. And all of a sudden, somebody started riffing on screwed up jokes. Me back then, would I be tempted to demonstrate that I am also somebody who enjoys off-kilter humor? Yeah. Would I post those pictures? Would I post those memes? There's absolutely no way of knowing. But it's possible. The racist ones, probably not. Because that's, those racist ones seem very northeasterny to me. Very northeasterny. Northeastern racism's a funny, tricky thing. Northeastern racism is tricky because you got a bunch of people who think that only racists live in the South, and the fact that they celebrate Black History Month is enough. And so they just say racist stuff because they ain't never met a Mexican in their life. They ain't never met a Jew in their life. Half of them ain't never met black people. So they're not real. They're just these people they see on television. So there's a level of humanity between. There's a gulf of humanity. Ain't never had black friends. Ain't never had Mexican friends. Ain't never been to a bar or bat mitzvah. I do, if I'm going to go back into a back in my day kind of aesthetic, I will say I think it is tremendously weird. I can't imagine growing up in a world where the internet was this real, was this much of public life. And also, if you are raising kids that are around this age, usernames. Come on. Come on. Don't go into this. I mean, like, tell you what, they are learning very, very, very quickly. Here's your first lesson, kids. The kids who got their offers rescinded. You don't know who's in these groups? You know, you think that you're just trying to be irreverent. I don't think these guys were like, I don't think that these kids are David Duke, I guess. Yeah, Max Trollbot says that's why I use a fake name. What? That's not your name, Max Trollbot? Ninja Steve, here in the South we have active racism. In the Northeast they have lazy racism. Yeah, except like in the South you see some racist shit and you're like, man, that's some racist shit. And people are like, yep, I'm racist as fuck. And you're like, okay. Duly noted. You know. Up in the Northeast, you think that you're just hanging with somebody normal, right? And next thing you know, they start throwing out that N-bomb with that AH, and you're like, what the hell? All right, one more thing, and then we'll get into your emails. The Cash Me Outside girl has postponed her summer tour. This is the New York Post. Fans of the infamous Cash Me Outside teen will have to wait to see her perform live. Her summer tour is being postponed until further notice, her manager Adam Kluger told the Post. Danielle Berjoli, whose baffling rise to stardom began on an ill-fated episode of Dr. Phil, was supposed to capitalize on her 15 minutes of fame with 2 test shows in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ooh, ooh. And Houston, originally scheduled for July 9th and 8th, despite not having actual musical or theatrical talent. But her manager said the team is pushing the shows back to align better with other initiatives. Quote, due to an overwhelming response, we decided to look at larger venues and reschedule the events to better suit her growing audience as well as some significant professional developments. More information will be provided at a later date. So what is going to happen at a Danielle Berjoli show? Who will be cashed outside. Berjoli planned to separate the shows into 3 parts. She'd start with lip syncing and rapping to her favorite songs, and planned to feature some cameos of established performers. She'd then do a live Q&A with the audience and wrap up by inviting audience members on stage to joke around. Here's the key here. She's supposed to get $50,000 for each show if they sold out, and if they go well, Live Nation is considering a nationwide tour. The last person I remember who tried to do this was Charlie Sheen. This was when Charlie Sheen was on his Charlie Sheen run with the goddesses and winning Tiger Blood and all sorts of crazy stuff. He had left 2.5 Men and was just absolutely off the deep end. He tried to do a live show and it bombed really hard. Tickets didn't sell all that well, and ultimately it was him just kind of doing Q&A with a comic. He had tried to do a little bit more, tried to make it more of a show, and it bombed exceptionally hard. I don't quite, apparently Danielle Berjoli, who was like 15 or something, has resonated with an audience. She was in the Kodak Black video not shortly after she blew up with her Dr. Phil thing. To me, her future would be is she runs her own little tour. I don't know how many people just want to see her. Because I think that they're postponing this so they can dress it up a little bit. Because, I mean, who really wants to see her? She said the thing. What is she going to do? Say the thing again? She going to argue with people? That's what she's famous for. A bunch of people thinking that they're better than her and her arguing with them. What she should do is go to all these like retirement communities that just have subscriptions to theaters and just yell at old women. That would be something I'd pay for. Maybe her and Grumpy Cat. I would say this, run a tour. The Cash Me Outside tour. Do festivals. You can cash her outside. I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's probably not well. You can email the show at justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Again, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Eric writes, I saw the Christian rock dinks in high school playing, failing in the mainstream, so you sucked on the teat of walked-in gardens of the Jesus Kids. Parents and genre pontiffs have exclusive rights over what is approved as Christian music. As they were starving, I was embarrassed for you, but now I have a favorite Christian musician, Johnny Lang. Lang was lighting up the music scene when I was in college. I thought a real blues man akin to Eric Clapton was going to roll up and change everything for me. Blues was back, baby. Just Another Pilot was going to be a happy boy. But Lang scared himself drinking, looked hard in the mirror, and decided he wasn't happy with himself. Johnny, if you're listening, I love you anyway. It's okay. He dived back into the Christian rock scene, and it gave it some legitimacy, even as he was head and toes better than all these suckers. Congrats, Christian rock. Your prayers are answered at my expense. Don't worry. You'll all see me in concert, but I ain't here for the red light. I ain't here for fellowship. I'm here for wah bar and a bunch of broken strings. Miss you, Holmes. Hope you got what you needed. If it's all the same, start drinking. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what that was. I asked if anybody had been smuggled. Christopher writes, I was smuggled into Canada when I was, and it was just after 9/11. I was working for a band playing in Canada, and I'd been convicted of a DUI. That is a felony in Canada. So to enter, you have to get special permission. We didn't want to get that, though, so we rented a car, and we drove, a few of us with legal issues, across the border. Why are you coming into the country? Oh, just to see some music. Okay, well, enjoy your stay as your truck is being searched from end to end. Cullen pitches in another in your house question. I'd like to offer my house in Memphis for the tour. You like hipster areas? We got that. Midtown full of great restaurants and bars. My favorite being DJW, a Korean barbecue place. Robata, a ramen Japanese restaurant in Overton Square. And Aldo's, a really nice pizza place. You like bars and music? We got that. Beale Street, full of that shit. You like barbecue? We got that. Down where I live in Collierville, a suburb of Memphis, we got a great barbecue place called The Commissary that's got divine pulled pork sandwiches. My house is also a fantastic venue for a live show. I got a whole live studio in my bedroom that can be moved out to the living room, even out to the back deck to host as many folks as you need. Need a compressor? Got that. Noise gate? Got that. EQ? Yup. 16 input mixer? Totally. A myriad of synths and effects to mess around with? Whatever makes you happy. Damn, son. Cullen pitching hard. The South. God. Should have known. My people are in the South. I love it. Ryan, working on services and hospitality industries lends itself to late nights at bars and diners. Anytime a large gathering of service workers get together, the probability of somebody sharing stories, often with full names of the recent shitty customer guest passenger that they had the pleasure of meeting, are told. The airline representative always had the best endings for these stories. A waitress's story would end up with, and then the asshole stiffed me. The hotel clerk would say, well, it took 2 hours to get this asshole out of the lobby. But the airline representative would say, security came and took them away. I proposed a more balanced power dynamic between customer and service industry worker inside of an airport is a contributing factor to the culture issue airlines are having. After all, if you go through your day being vaguely threatening to a barista, a worker at Taco Bell, an Uber driver, and a stewardess, one of them is much more likely to have you detained physically rather than just getting rid of you. What's more, the airport workers often know this. We talk about it at bars and diners. The refrain I've often heard is, the passengers have to be nice to me. It's the law. We had more about the smuggling. The dude smuggling... actually, no, we're going to end on that. Oh, here we go. Sean wrote in about Wendy's in Australia. But we do have Wendy's in New Zealand. Shouldn't they have it too? What kind of weird topsy-turvy alternate universe are we living in where we can have something that Australia doesn't? Also, have the other thing is that this is also called Wendy's that I think Australia doesn't have. They serve ice cream and shakes and stuff. I don't know if it's rented out or not. In fact, they may have changed the name. The one place I've seen them is in a shopping center that I don't really go to anymore. What was the point of this email? $30 butt nuggets. Oh, you son of a bee. Son of a bee, Sean. All right, we're going to end on this. John from Connecticut. The dude smuggling gold had 6 200-gram gold bars. Luckily for them, gold is very dense. 1,200 grams of gold is 62.2 cubic centimeters. A rod with a diameter of 2.96 centimeters and 9 centimeters long is that volume. In English units, that is a 1.16 inch diameter, 3.5 inches long. I think it would be okay if somebody shoved that up their butt. I add editorially. Love the shows. Keep it up. Folks, that about wraps it up for this edition of the show. Again, I'd like to remind you, if you want to email the show, it is justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. If you want free stickers from Stickers or DIAF, join our mailing list, bit.ly/stickers or DIAF. Today's go to Colin. Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Justin R. Young, and you can hashtag join the conversation at all times at diamondclub.reddit.com. Here's something else, guys. Go to Kickstarter. Search for The Contender. Follow The Contender on Kickstarter. That's where we're going to be launching the new one. Folks, that about wraps it up for me. My name is Justin Robert Young. And a reminder... Don't
Fan Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Cash me outside. How about that?